Welcome to solverfy.
.68, we want to discuss what happens when you have three polarizers. So you imagine that we have one that has its axis of polarization in one direction. We have another one whose axis of polarization is perpendicular to that. And now if we just have this set up this way, then if we pass some light through here, it's going to get blocked and not come out the other side, regardless of whether it's polarized or not over here. But then something kind of interesting happens if we put a third one in between the other two, whose axis of polarization is at some other angle besides being 90 degrees to either one of the outer two polarizers. And in this case, light will get through. So we want to figure out why this happens. So if we imagine we have an incoming beam of light, it's going to have, if it's unpolarized, it's going to, we can say that it consists of components that are polarized vertically and horizontally. Just sort of try our light going through there. And we're just going to put this here to sort of conceptually delineate this. So we have vertically polarized light after our first polarizer. However, just in the same way as we could express unpolarized light as containing two polarization components with respect to the axis of this polarizer, we can consider this polarization, because it's a vector, as containing as having components that are parallel and perpendicular to this polarizer, this polarizer's axis. As you can see, if we move this over here to add them tip to tail, you'd get the exact same arrow here. And so we're left with a 45-degree polarization, assuming this is 45 degrees, over this way. And now we do the same thing again. This smaller arrow, the polarization vector, can be written as, or can be thought of as, having two components that are parallel and perpendicular to the axis of this polarizer. And so we have some amount of horizontally polarized light coming out here, even though there is only vertically polarized light after the first polarizer, because well, basically because if this isn't perpendicular to this, then the vertical polarization vector can be expressed in terms of components that are parallel and perpendicular to this middle polarizer. And so then it just becomes an exercise of re-expressing the polarization vector after each polarizer in terms of the axis of the next polarizer.